we're back. So obviously with this patch, I mean, the patch notes were coming out. Honestly, I didn't think they would come out today. I thought they were coming out tomorrow, but we got them and I've read them a couple times over. I'm not gonna waste time and talk about every single little change, but I kind of want to highlight the important stuff and my thoughts on it for every character. Won't be too long, but yeah, I think the important stuff is definitely worth talking about. Obviously, in the comment section, let me know your thoughts on the changes and how you think your character will fit in with the season of the meta, your early predictions, and yeah, let's start. I think the first thing we'll obviously talk about is, before we get into character changes specifically, kind of want to go over the changes to the system. So, nothing changed too much, but it seems like defense and damage have been increased across the board. I will put the health changes right here on the screen. It goes from the highest health HP character to the lowest. You can refer back to this in case when you for every character, you're going to see a note that says like HP adjusted. So it's basically just referring to this. Some characters were made into tanks. Some characters fell from their placement of before on the highest HP scale, while others rose. So yeah, always refer back to this. But yeah, so obviously limited opportunities go for huge damage, as it said. The only character I believe that has actual less HP now is Slayer, but some characters I believe they get their guts rating adjusted. For example, I know one is Happy Chaos, which is kind of needed, I'm not gonna lie. But let's start with Soul. So the important things to highlight for Soul, I think the good place to start is all of his special moves are now worse. I think Soul before it was an argument of he had no flaws in his special moves. He had everything from a dive kick to a DP to a low profile to, you know, kind of like a Rekka type thing, right? He had everything. So what they've done, so also that he had a reset in Fafnir. Fafnir is faster. It no longer has guard crush properties on it. Bandit's Bringer no longer has a charge version, and there is more recovery on the regular version, or not more recovery, sorry, it leaves you closer to the opponent, so you're more likely to actually like have to block afterwards. It's not like spaced where you just kind of get away for free or can just commit to a backdash and just go back to neutral or whatever. So more committal. Yeah, like I said, remove the charge version, so you can't, so it will fall at the same time now, like, at the same time always. No more adjusting your timings to beat 6P and whatnot. Vortex, the low profile full screen move, takes longer to low profile, so you can't just use it to use it now. Like, it will get hit out by most moves until it reaches the point where it low profiles. 5K has a better hitbox, but it is slower, so no more 3 frames. You will go later on, we'll talk about Chip, but I believe he also lost the 3 frame, so it seems like there are no more 3 frame buttons in this game, which, yay, that's great. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Soul. Diving to the next character, Kai. I think the important things on Kai, so obviously, he lost his corner carry combos. So, for example, if Kai caught your backdash, he would do like 5H Fuji Arc, 5H Fuji Arc, and could like, depending on where he was, he could like break the wall off that. So he can't do stuff like that anymore. Catching your backdash is way weaker for him now. I'm sure there are some other situations where you can also get like some crazy corner carry combos, but that's the situation that pops up at the top of my head when I think about it. 6H has more recovery. Counter hit so Direclat, the frame trap, if you got a counter hit in the mid screen with it, you could do like a dash 5H and get a OTG pickup into a combo. It doesn't seem like you'll be able to do that anymore since they now increased the pushback. So that's one thing. They reduced the blowback on the DP. So on DP for combos, like you saw in the little trailer they gave for Kai the other day, the battle balance changes. So more access to the combos. And then it seems like there's more hit stop on his fireballs in shock state, which is good. I know a lot of Kais have used the fireballs, so seems good for him. Yeah, let me know for each character, if you play or have thoughts on them. Let me know what you think on how they look. Obviously, this video will be up before the game, before the actual patch drops, before we get our hands on it. So I'm curious on your guys' first, I guess, glance opinions at the character changes. May is a funny one. So it seems like Split, the Dolphin Hop, the new move she got at the start of season 3 is now better. It seems like you now go either less, like farther, so like almost, it seems like you go farther or shorter depending on if you're holding back or forward, which is good. 5H now has a ground bounce on counter hit, so better combos on 5H, but in return, her normals are slower. So Far Slash and 2S now have more startup, with Far Slash having less recovery and 2S having more recovery. So she still does crazy damage. And also keep in mind, every character is getting a damage buff. So if you see the damage, increased damage, you'll see that a lot for every note for a character. Like I said at the start of the video, damage and defense are both increasing, so that's just why. So I won't mention it because it's a universal change, along with 6Ps as well. Yeah, universal 6P nerf as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for May. Moving on to Axel. This one is interesting. So what they did for Axel is they changed the input on Rensen. So before, Axel was kind of a reaction character, so zoner but reaction to what you were doing. So a lot of times he was kind of charging Rensen, throwing out a poke, charging Rensen, whatnot. So now he doesn't have to do that. He can just do Rensen. He can now do it faster now because it's not a charge, to like on fly and to what's going on in the situation. And also makes it better for combos. This allows for like 5P and 6K to work and then go into Rensen on like air hit, which is really good for him. Rainwater no longer has the vacuum effect, however. I guess that's the trade-off. Yeah, that's kind of all. Obviously, you guys see the increased damage, but again, that's universal. And oh, last thing, sorry. So they gave him tipper range buff. So meaning if Axel hits you at the farthest point of a normal, it does more damage. So that's kind of cool. That's the cool little tipper range zoner thing. So I like that. But again, it just plays into the more universal damage. But I think that's nice. I can't talk about Chip too much because it's literally just the tightrope in the wall run. I mean, they released a thing on the GGST Discord, or not Discord, sorry, the Twitter about the chip change, going into a little more in depth. Not in like no one was talking, but they were showing some more situations and uses for it. It looks really cool. It looks really good. So I'm excited to get my hands on the change and lab it out a bit, and then of course make a video on chip later on. So Pkin. So this one was a lot. Oh my gosh. So it seems like the first thing, okay. So the biggest thing is they removed car cancels. So 6K into car cancel into like anything is no longer a thing. So that means Garuda has less pushback on block. However, it is a projectile now. Counter hit stay on all of slide head. Armored command grab, but it seems like apparently he has worse Oki. Hammerfall break goes farther, allowing for him to take more distance on the screen when obviously stopping the Hammerfall. Back Mega Fist is less plus on block. I don't know the frame data. Maybe it's minus now. Yeah, we'll have to see. Again, we'll have to see when we get our hands on it. It kind of seems like they just made back Mega Fist and forward Mega Fist more the same on maybe on block. So that's cool. Pot now has blue Wild Assault instead of white Wild Assault, which is really interesting. He now combo into command grab off hits like 5H. Which is pretty cool. Changed input on some of his special moves, which is, I guess, a pot player change, right? I guess maybe sometimes you'd get an input you didn't want. So they just changed the inputs around, and yeah, moving on. I'm sure there are more changes for pot, but again, I'm kind of keeping it simple. Again, if I miss any huge changes, then feel free to let me know. Faust. So Faust is an interesting one. So he has better space control now because the item shoot can now, depending on if you're holding forward or back, it can either send the items full screen or send them really close to you. So in situations with like trumpet, if you eat a trumpet, before you would shoot it out during the item eat, the down P with the item eat, and you would shoot out and it would kind of like be in a weird spot where sometimes the opponent can get it. And now it's more like you will always have it. So that's cool that they've done that. So better space control. And then it seems like if you hit the item, so every item can be hit with the new hole-in-one move. It seems like you can, the damage is increased on the items, which is really interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. They nerfed also, lastly, they nerfed Mini Faust, so it decreased the number of times it takes changes direction. That's just a nerf. So obviously Mini Faust is really strong, like pretty broken. So I guess this is just when you stay out of the way of it, it actually goes away. So yeah, interesting. Milia. Okay, to sum this up, Capel nerfs. I'm gonna put a funny little image on the screen, most likely, but yeah, Milia got shot. Capel. So there seems like there's some more potential with some mix-ups, but to be honest, I'm fine with that. Milia's a mix-up character, so she should be having mix-ups. But this Capel change will put Milia players like filling out job applications. Now, this is actually insane that it no longer launches on ground and hit. Maybe they'll get some sort of combo, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. We'll have to see. Milia also, fun fact, has the lowest health in the game. So, again, you can refer back to the chart. Obviously, besides Asuka without mana, but Chip now has more HP than Milia, which is kind of funny. So, Zato. Okay, I will talk about this. These changes are, they're not that good. I'm sorry to Doom. I'm sorry to Doom. Dude, he looks about the same or worse. I won't even lie. So my issue with the Zato changes. So one, the universal 6P nerf affects him the most. I truly believe it affects him the most. He doesn't really have normals that feel good a lot and to use a lot of the times. So 6P was kind of that option. So the fact that it now has more recovery, it sucks. I will not lie. Zato now has more HP, so that's cool. His Far Slash now has more higher attack level, so now Far Slash Invite Hell combos. But the issue is everyone wanted 2S, or just S normals in general, or I guess more 2S in the to Invite Hell to work. So the fact that that doesn't work, it hurts, because Far Slash is such a committal button that it doesn't have crazy range. It's very long recovery. It's 10 frames. It's good. It's faster. It's better. Like in terms of speed, it's better than the average speed of a Far Slash, but too much recovery, not the range, and you just never use it over 2S or your P normals. So the fact that it got brought onto Far Slash just feels kind of useless. Like I feel like you'll just never really hit that. So, but 2S did get more active frames. So, for example, if you land Invite Hell, then you can catch their backdash a little easier if they try to backdash. A pose now lasts longer. We'll have to see the change. Depending on the change, it could be pretty good. But again, the Eddie timer is still the same, and it's just Eddie's still easy to kill once you clap into a different Eddie special. So it's just like, I don't know. We'll have to see. And then they brought back the the command grab recharging Eddie, which is something he already had before the nerfs, and then they just, I don't know, it took them this long to fix it. It feels useless at this point, but it's not. It'll help in some setups for sure. So that's cool. And then Sun Void, they nerfed it. Seems like you can never actually take your turn back with Sun Void unless Eddie's already on them. So that kind of sucks, but yeah, I don't know. That's big sad, but it's something. Ram got a whole essay. Yeah, she got a lot. But to break down the changes, I guess the important parts that stood out to me. So obviously she got reworked. The powered up versions of the Rekka now cause Guard Crush. So when you delay it, now causes Guard Crush, which is pretty cool. You can still dash cancel it, but it seems like more they want you to use the Guard Crush options and move away from the dash cancels. Daro now launches on hit, so you can now get some pickups off it, which is really big. That's, whoa. She now, obviously, S Sword is now a diagonal downwards, like, strike. Guard Crushes, both swords, both S and H sword toss, both Guard Crush. You can't recover, in trade-off though, you can't recover the swords anymore. It takes like 8 seconds, 8 to 10, whatever seconds for it to come back. So she can no longer just loop corner pressure. She now has to think a little more when throwing the sword in neutral or when throwing in the corner and setting up her offense, which is pretty cool. Flip is now an overhead and it's faster. So that is interesting, but it has a set distance. So if you crouch and she does it closer, then she'll just go over you. More active frames on her 2D, and she does more damage now. With her normals do more damage, but she does a lot less damage if she does not have the swords. And this also means, in the patch, as it says in the patch, she cannot do Calvados, the huge beam super that does a trillion damage. She can't do it if she does not have both swords, which is a really good nerf. I really like that change. Overall, Ram is reworked, and I'm sure there's some little changes in here that I missed, but that's what stood out to me. I'm interested to see how good she is now. Yeah, I don't know where she'll stand, because she seems better mid-screen, but worse. And, like, I don't know, pressure-wise seems worse, maybe? I don't know. We'll have to see, but I'm definitely curious on what people think, so. Okay, now Leo. So, they've made overall Leo stronger in his stance, but the dash momentum, so he can now cancel the startup of his attacks. Okay, so it seems like the start of so they want you to use Leo's stance more in neutral. It seems like the startup of the dash, the dash can now be canceled into moves, which is really interesting. So it says dash can now be canceled on normal and special moves, and when canceled into during a dash, layout will not turn around while performing these moves. So basically saying that, yeah, he could just, as you saw in the trailer the other day for the battle balance, he could basically do like stance dash H or dash S or whatever, right? He also has invul on his back dash in the stance now, which is interesting. Obviously, going into the stance, the turbulence, it has more pushback on block, so they just want you to play neutral with the stance more, but in return, they made it going into stance off, like, I guess, harder outside of turbulence, because the run-through move now has decreased movement speed, so it's easier to throw. So I'm interested to see how this will play for Leo. They also made his dash block worse, which is, thank the heavens. It was a pretty broken dash block, so I'm glad it's definitely more, like, in line with the rest of the cast. Yeah, moving on. Nago. Okay, this one's an interesting one. So, for Nago, so his normal, so 5H and 2, so his H normals do more chip damage on block. They are no longer special cancelable, but they hard knockdown, which is interesting. So if you get clipped, you will begin putting hard knockdown. No longer special cancel though, and thankfully they removed the samurai mix as well. So obviously use, you know, the overhead and the low. They basically made it so Nago's overhead no longer launch ground bounces, so no more combo, like going into Beyblade and doing a combo and then going to super. So yeah, no more combo there. You can't even RC it and get a combo, it just straight drops them to the floor, which is yes. So yeah, no more samurai mix and no more hard knockdown on Blood Rage. So if you get hit by Blood Rage, you will then get, you will now be able to recover. I'm not sure how that'll actually look, but they also made it, as you saw in the trailer the other day, that you get propped up in the corner, like you get shot up, and then he can like wall stick you, and then Nago can do the blood super, but it does more damage. Yeah, it does more damage, but your HP is reduced to 1, so that's interesting. Yeah, also a big change. His 6K added crumple on non-counter hits, so that means if he hits you with 6K, then you can go into bite, which is pretty scary. I'm interested to see how this new Nago is. I'm liking all the reworks that they're doing. Gio. So for Giovanna, her dash is better now when powered up. So when she has more meter, her dash is better. I'm not sure if it's just with 100 bar or if it applies with 50 bar as well. I believe it applies with 50 and 100 bar. Knife kick, the dog kick, can now beat some 6Ps, I guess at certain distances, and has more range due to the forward momentum on it, or forward movement on it. No more guard crush loops. So the spiral arrow guard crush, the enhanced version, is now gone. No more guard crush. Still plus, but you can. It's no more guard crush. So that means you can now YRC. So if you have a DP, you're not just, you know, literally guessing for the game off every guard crush, off every spiral arrow. You're not just guessing for game. And then dash momentum is better when canceling the start of the dash. So it basically, as you saw in the trailer, I believe she just moves more forward when canceling into something. So she's able to whiff punish better, which is, dude, she was already so good at whiff punishing. I'm confused, but that's Gio. Next, Anji. So Anji, this is weird. So he can now special cancel charge fusion, which is funny. So you can do like fusion into fusion, or fusion into, yeah, fusion into a special move. Also, you can do, the overhead is faster. The overhead is already, I believe, 21 frames, and now it's probably gonna be around 18, maybe 19 or something like that. Faster, so it's pretty much, they're trying to make it unreactable, but in return, it no longer launches, and even on RC, you will not get a combo, kind of like the Nago overhead. This also means that it hard knockdowns, which is interesting. So no combo at all, but it leaves you hard knockdown, so you can set up some Oki maybe with Butterfly. And then the low Nagiha has less pushback, so you are able to be more punished on block. Anji's able to be more punished on block, which is a great nerf. Amazing. Kind of surprised they didn't touch Fish or Spin, but I guess they're fine with the power level of it, so it's fine. Okay. Eno. So for Eno, obviously you can feint the note. So you can do note, and then while the note is out, you can do another note, and it will cause that one to cancel. So if the opponent is trying to get around the first note, then you can shoot out the second one, and then they have to like do a quick reaction and play around that one. Yeah, you can now drift the air chemical love. So you can now drift forward, I believe forward or backwards, which is pretty cool. Yeah. You can also, yeah, you know, it didn't really get too much. You can also, the hurt box of the stroke is now better. So I don't believe you'll be getting 6P'd out of it anymore, which is kind of cool for Eno. But yeah, you can drift forward and backwards on the air version of Chemical Love, I believe, and then just forward on the grounded version. I believe they wanted to make it more in line with their dash. So if you were air dashing back and you did it, then you kind of like fall backwards and downwards while doing the Chemical Love. So I think that's cool for her. Probably some neutral changes also will probably, yeah, I bet there'll be some good situations for it. So yeah, looks cool for Eno. Gold Lewis. So obviously we saw the jump scare with the BT cancels, but there are some things that most people probably didn't understand. So I guess I'll clear some of it up. So you can obviously special cancel the BTs, but it costs the security gauge. The security gauge now takes longer to recharge and has a cooldown to it. Okay, so one thing about the BT cancels, you can only go in the direction for that special cancel. So for example, if you do a BT that is a certain direction, so forward or back, you can only do another BT, special cancel another BT in that same like forward motion. Meaning that you won't be able to do like overhead into low BT, for example. So it's a lot less, yeah, they thought, the devs have thought this out. It's not as broken as it seems, but I'm sure the damage will be insane. It'll be more of a cash out thing. It doesn't really seem like you'll be doing it in pressure. Seems more of a cash out thing. You can also control what level you want to use for minigun, which is kind of interesting. So you can so now security kind of becomes a resource. And I like the way that they're doing this. So it seems like, obviously with, you know, it seems like these characters are now having to manage a resource. So like, for example, Ram, for example, Gold Lewis, we'll get into Sin, but for example, Sin, right? You know, it's, I guess, Happy Chaos now that Clone is, we'll get into Happy Chaos later, but yeah, I like this. It's nice. Good change for Gold Lewis. I believe that is all. Okay, so yeah, moving on to Jacko. So, Jacko, 2D nerfs. So now, if you, more blowback on hit. So that means at like max range, you will not be getting combos, or maybe just farther range at all, you won't be getting combos, which is pretty nice. It'll just hard knockdown. So 2D nerf, and dash cancel on Servant Shoot, which looks interesting. We'll have to see how much affects her pressure, but again, I can't speak on it yet just because we don't have it. We don't have access to the patch yet. Happy Chaos. So they nerfed finally. It took them like 2.5 years to finally make Clone what it should have always been. So basically, it no longer negates the opponent strike collision. So meaning if Happy Chaos is in the Clone, he can get hit. He has to be, Clone is just a wall, essentially, now. So meaning, if you go to hit Happy Chaos, and he's behind the Clone, but he's so far back behind the Clone, he's basically just forcing you to jump over the Clone. If he's standing in the Clone, you can just hit him out of it now, which is, dude, this is like the greatest change they've ever done, like, ever. J2K got readjusted, so it now launches ground bounces on grounded hit. But this also means that he can't do some of his wall slump setups anymore. So I guess depending on the Happy Chaos player that you ask, it's a buff or a nerf. His 2D launch is higher. He lost his guts, so Happy Chaos now towards the, I believe he actually ended up getting like slightly more like, I think he's, I'll have to recheck the chart. It's at the start of the video, but he's now, since other characters were getting HP buffed, I believe he's now at the lower end of the cast for HP, which is where he should have been this whole time. Like, but you know, yeah, that's pretty much it. Bikin, okay. Holy shit, Bikin looks so good. Okay, so you can now use parry and block stun, which is, bro, more consistent combos now that. Before, Bikin had, I mean, I'm sure you've seen Winty's page. Bikin had some trouble doing some combos due to the opponent needed to be crouching. And even then, it was still pretty, I believe, it was still pretty hard to combo off certain ranges. But, fear no more, that does not matter. It does not matter whether you're standing or crouching, because her normals have less blowback on hit, so not as far pushback. And 5H now causes a ground bounce effect, which is, whoa. So consistent combos that lead into H Kabari more, that lead into the hard knockdown. So that's really good for her. What else? Less blowback. Yeah, like I said, less blowback on normals. They buffed her dash. So before, again, referring back to Winty, we're bottom 5 dash acceleration, blah, blah, terrible dash. Not anymore. Now I believe she's in line with the rest of the cast in terms of dash, which is kind of crazy. There's obviously the new parry. So I believe this parry is when, this parry is when you withstand the attack. So not when you get like the actual parry, but that weird animation where like the opponent gets put in guard crush, and then, you know, both players get put in guard crush, for example. Now it seems like Bikin can cancel that into a dash cancel, which is really interesting. Allows, I believe the close slash afterwards is gapless as well. It's looked really, really, really plus. They made our combos more consistent as well outside of just the, you know, the going to Kabari changes. It seems like Yosansen now has a vacuum effect, meaning her combos are a little more consistent as well when doing fast RC from a mix-up. So, and then the S Kabari, I believe, has the increased vacuum effect. So you will always be, Bikin will always be like +3 in your face now. Yeah, Bikin got the changes. I mean, this is literally everything Bikin players have been wanting that they just got. And I guess this is an apology for getting left out of the last patch. So she looks crazy. We'll have to see where this goes. Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. One thing I want to correct myself on. So obviously it's the parry, the parry the parry that causes the guard crush. It's when you use the parry out of block stun. It's not just like the spacing parry where you guys are both guard crush. It's this parry is only when you use it out of block stun. Sorry, that was my mistake. So yeah, block stun parry is a new thing. As you saw in the trailer, it had like the pink little bubble around it. So that's the animation now. You can do that in the dash cancel into whatever. Parry, it seems like the other two parry versions of parry, the regular like successful parry where she slams you, and the parry where you guys are both like guard crush because it was like, it wasn't in the proximity range of the like a successful parry. It seems like those two are still in the game. This is just a new addition. So that's my fault. But yeah, Testament can basically just combo off throw. I mean, that's literally all they got. And then obviously, like Zato, the 6P nerf kind of affects them a lot. So we'll have to see where they stand. But they got a lot more HP. Like a lot more HP. As you, again, you can refer back to the chart, but a lot more HP. Bridget actually got nerfed, kind of. So she can't jump cancel rolling movement anymore, which is funny. It's really funny. And she has to commit to it, but she can now control the momentum with up or down. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then she got more health as well. Sin. Okay. Sin is eating so good. Okay, so they nerfed his neutral in term. So they buffed the reward in the neutral, but they nerfed his actual neutral. So what I mean by that, so /more recovery in 2S is now 13. I'm going to assume, so it's more startup. It's 12 frames now, so I'm going to assume it's 13 frames now. They also made it so stamina has an increased cooldown, which is a nerf. But nerf 6Ps universally help him a lot. And I guess we can go into the buffs. So he can now, as you saw in the trailer, he can now do like a button in the beak driver and get a whole combo off it now, close slash pickup. This also means that I'm gonna assume, if for the sim players out there, if you are in the corner, you don't even have to spend the bar to do the gazelle step. You can just, since you have more time to confirm your hits, meaning you can probably just do like in the corner / beak driver follow up 2K 6H super, something like that. So better combos across the screen. It actually matters if you get hit by the overhead now, depending on how much stamina he has. But again, the slower refill rate is kind of sucky, but I understand. You can now do raw gazelle step, and the low profile on it is better, but it has more recovery. Besides Hawk Baker, which is the DP, all follow-ups of the special moves guard crush on block. So it seems like more minus, but they all guard crush, which is weird. Tyrant Barrel does more damage, so they reverted that, which is his damage super. Same with RTL, does more damage, but then now you no longer get the refund when you do a card cancel. Meaning when Sin does special move like Beak Driver into Beak Driver into Super, before you wouldn't spend the bar because there was a refund. Now when you card cancel, you always are spending a bar. So that's a nerf. Yeah, it seems like the Elk Hunt follow-up is increased recovery, but increased guard crush. We'll have to see if he still gets like the auto time 50-50 off Elk Hunt and the follow-up and the guard crush follow-up in the dash. We'll have to see. I don't know. We'll have to play around it, but his combo game is looking so much better. So we'll have to see how good he is now. He still has orange walls, so he can still stall for time to refill the bar. But we have to see how big the nerf is to the stamina bar. That will determine the character for sure. Bedman. So I think they wanted to get rid of the feeling of blocking infinite, which a lot of people didn't understand how Bedman worked. They didn't lab, so they kind of just blocked and felt like they were getting filtered by like this infinite like block string character. So they made his moves less plus. So they made the bomb head and the bomb hand less plus. So the explosion hand, and then obviously when his head pops off and they cause the guard crush, right? So those are less plus. Especially the charged versions, less plus. Reduced recovery on his install super, which is nice. A lot more HP. Bedman's like top 3 in HP now. He went from like the middle of the cast to like top 3 in HP, like below the middle of the cast to like a tank. So yeah, just more interaction, more. Obviously, some of his follow-ups as well got buffed on some of his moves, but yeah, that's pretty much the change for Bedman. I'm kind of bad with the Bedman notes, but I know I saw people like GCOshi saying that Bedman looks good. So we'll have to get our hands on the patch and truly determine how changed he is. Asuka. Okay. This is sad. So Asuka got shot. I will not lie. He definitely a lot nerfed. So they nerfed the super, which is what people have been wanting since his release. It's a pretty broken super, so I understand. But I guess the important stuff, so as you saw in the trailer, he can now swap what test case he's in, depending. You can now swap what test case he's in, when he's doing the super. But it causes mana depletion faster, but you can swap spells for longer. It also decreases faster the longer you're in it. Yeah, so I guess buff and nerf to the super. So both the supers technically got nerfed. The green card, the mana card, the broken card. It already got nerfed before, from 15 to 10 seconds, I believe, and now I'm not sure where it will be now. So we'll have to see. But the big change about it is that you no longer get mana back when blocking or taking damage, which is crazy nerf. Mana recover instant. That's the green card. That's the card in test case 2, where it exchanges all your cards for mana. But now it doesn't take your cards away; it just gives you back mana, which is whoa. Bookmark random import, that's where it swaps every card you have. It looks like it swaps, it looks like it gives you back all your cards, but it swaps them for different cards that are in that same test case, which is interesting. Those two cards really broke test case 2. Broke as I mean it made it a lot worse. So the fact that they made them more good cards, I can see a lot more Asuka players using test case 2. Delayed Tartarus Metron, yeah, that one's not important. Big shift. So what they did, so Asuka's best card arguably was the 5-stack on the red fire cubes. And now they basically removed the 5-stack and made it so it always starts at 1. So before it would go 5 to 1, and then there would also be the ones that were 1 to 5. Now it will always be 1 to 5. So it'll always start with 1 cube and it will build its way up to 5. The build up is now faster, but it costs more mana and you'll never get to start with 5, which is it sucks. And then they rebalanced the boost Metron. So this is the lightning pages. Basically, they made it so it's less. I believe it does less damage at level 1 and 2. Decrease the duration of the guard crush for levels 1 and 2 as well. But increase the damage levels 3, 4, and 5 while making them more plus on those upper levels, which is interesting because it's already plus, I believe, 25. So we'll have to see. Johnny is literally the same character. I mean, he just got better neutral because Mistfinder can cancel out projectiles. But he's pretty much the same. It seems like they want him to sit a little more before they know what to do with him, since he just got changed a couple months ago. Elfelt got some huge changes. So The shotgun, so the Rekka Ender, the shotgun, now hard knocks down, which is, wow. It also wall bounces, allowing her to get combos in the corner, which again is whoa. Rekka 1 is now dash cancelable, so you can now go into things like Pineberry, so that seems pretty good. So more mix-up. She now has orange Wall Assault instead of blue Wall Assault, which is really good. Orange Wall Assault is broken, so I mean, if you have it, then sure. I believe the Alpha players would prefer the Orange Wall Assault, but I guess we'll see when they get their hands on her with the upcoming patch in like a day. Yeah, I think that's all the important stuff. But again, I'm sure there's some more stuff, but that's pretty much there's probably some more stuff, but that's what stood out to me. And then Abba, everyone can rejoice. Abba got nerfed. Oh my gosh, thank you. So she got nerfed and buffed, but the nerf is what we've all wanted. So as it is right now, so okay, Abba now is weaker in normal mode, which I've always found it weird how strong she was in normal mode. I actually thought Jealousy was so broken for how strong she was in normal mode. So the fact that she actually got toned down a bit is, I'm all smiles, truly, man. Worst dash block. So she no longer has the momentum on her dash block, so she just stops in place. So she's actually pretty slow now, which she should be. Actually minus on the hop, which is amazing. She actually, as you see, it says, Abba is more likely to lose her turn when it's blocked, and less likely to get a combo on counter hit. So it seems like you'll have to be closer up to and like kind of frame trap with it to actually get a combo on block. Or sorry, sorry, a combo on counter hit. Sorry. More punishable on block, or I don't think it'll be punishable, but more minus on block, meaning you can take your turn and make Abba blocked. Her backdash is already terrible in the normal mode, so she's not really going to be getting away. We'll have to see the frame data when we get our hands on the notes, or not the notes, sorry, like the patch. Counter hit launcher on Donzai, which is huge for her in Jealousy, allows for more frame traps, but to be honest, I guess, sure, it costs a lot of Jealousy, like, to do it, like, and it takes it's a pretty long duration, so I guess, sure, I guess she can have that. But yeah, the fact that she can't get a real like combo on the counter hit hop move is crazy, because that move is so broken as it is, because it just goes over everything. So worse, Abba being basically slower, worse screen control because she's obviously slower, worse dash block. The hop is worse because if you get counter hit by it, you don't just like lose and die, but it does hard knockdown on counter hit now. So it seems like now she could just take her turn on counter hit, but you won't actually be getting exploded for a combo. Moving on to the last character, Slayer. So increased damage on Pile Bunker from P Mappa, which I don't know why. No more reversal, which is funny. Thank you. No more super PRC as well. They did buff his backdash, so it moves faster at the start, but moves slower towards the end. I guess this, I don't know, I guess this is just for Hand of Doom, like to make the Hand of Doom a little better. You know, Slayer players like the backdash. More recovery on 2H, and that's pretty much it. Oh, sorry, and also P Mappa got nerfed. They increased the recovery, so it's now not going to be minus, I believe it's minus like 2 right now, so it's not going to be that. It's going to be more minus. Hopefully that means you can actually make Slayer block and not just get like, maybe he's not actually just plus off being minus, which again, we can only hope. P Mappa was absurd. I'm gonna be honest, these aren't the changes that we actually wanted for Slayer. I mean, the no reversal is nice, but like, where's the K Mappa nerfs? Where's the actual 2H nerf? Like, where, you know, like, but you know, it's fine. It is fine. It is fine. So yeah, let me know that's all the characters. I'm curious to know people's changes on the patch. Yeah, I want to know everything. Let me know in the comment section, obviously. But yeah, that's gonna sum it up. I'm excited to play the patch. I have some video ideas coming up. We're close to 1,000 subs. I believe we're at like 995 or something like that, which is crazy. In just 3 months, a little over 3 months, we've already are about to hit 1,000 subs, which thank you. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Thank you everyone for watching. I don't think I'll make a tier list on where I think characters will be. It's too early. I hate doing like the early prediction kind of things, because again, we don't even have the actual patch yet in game yet. But I know some people have. I know people have seen some things, or have been saying some things. But yeah, again, we'll have to wait for the patch. More new video will come though about the patch when we actually get it. So thanks everyone for watching, like I said earlier, and I'll talk to you guys later.